In the little house where the pixies live, Christmas traditions have been heavily influenced by our holiday-loving ancestors who, as we may have mentioned in previous videos, never met an occasion they couldn't transform into an excuse for a party. And Christmas is inarguably an entire season overflowing with opportunities to gather together, eat, tell stories, give each other gifts and treats, and generally make merry. It's a time to string lights over rooftops and landscape, hanging wreaths, and put up the best fir tree one could possibly find, followed immediately by covering its forest-scented branches with enough lights for the electricity provider to feel a shiver of delight up their corporate spines, before carefully hanging copious amounts of baubles and handmade ornaments and sparkling finery saved down through the years from the branches. All while sipping eggnog with Bing Crosby's whiskey-smooth baritone crooning White Christmas, and Jimmy Boyd lyrically expressing his concern at witnessing the jolly old elf getting a little fresh with his mama. Stores will lean into the virtues of consumerism, tempting even the tightest fist to open long enough to purchase a little Christmas joy for someone, while spotlighting items you were previously unaware you absolutely must have until they enlightened you. Philanthropic organizations will gently remind you that the season is not about you, but about those less fortunate. And would you be inclined to cut a check with their name printed legibly as the receiver, if you don't mind? In between sleigh rides, hot chocolate, candy canes, and cookies elaborately decorated, the real reason for the season will be displayed through nativity scenes of every size and variety across yards, churches, parks, and shelves. The warmth of tradition and the joy of the season hangs palpably in the air, no matter how much frost accompanies it, and our hearts can feel the change in that atmosphere. Across the world, traditions vary greatly, with Rome focusing in on a midnight mass on Christmas Eve in remembrance of the Christ child's birth. The Swedes building a traditional Yule goat who proudly stands 42 feet high from hoof to horns in Castle Square, which is live-streamed for the world to join in on. And the Philippines holding an enormous festival of lanterns, filling the night sky with thousands of spinning lights, symbolizing the Star of Bethlehem, seen by the three Magi so long ago. Japan doesn't celebrate Christmas as a national holiday, as their population is approximately 1% Christian, but they still have their own Christmas tradition, Kentucky for Christmas Day. It seems the Colonel struck gold on Christmas one year with a campaign that advertised buckets of fried chicken for families to feast on for Christmas. So effective was this marketing, the families ordered their chicken buckets months in advance to avoid waiting in line for hours on the day. Someone got a well-earned Christmas bonus in perpetuity for that clever plan, I would think. In Iceland, children are visited each night by the 13 Yule lads over their 13 days of Christmas, who tuck candy into little shoes placed in convenient windows for good children, and a rotten potato for those who were naughty. That's some pretty serious biz for the Icelandic pixies. Good better be your middle name, because rotting potatoes are nothing to be trifled with. And as a side note, how did they find an extra day of Christmas from R12? I have some questions. In Denmark, the Christmas tree is placed in the middle of its room on December 24th, so Danish families can dance about it and sing carols, while Norwegians celebrate the Little Christmas on December 23rd, when they spend the day dressing up the tree, making gingerbread houses, and eating hot rice pudding. Irish homes display a tall red candle in the window to signify warmth and shelter for the Christmas season. Barbados bakes hams covered in decoratively positioned pineapple slices, alongside a rum cake and jug, a Scottish porridge of pigeon peas, cornflour, herbs, and salted meat. In Poland, an unleavened wafer is broken up and shared as a religious tradition, and supper is served as the first star appears in the dark sky, with a place setting left for an unexpected guest. Sinterklaas takes center stage in the Netherlands, as all the children place their shoes by the fire or back door in hopes of receiving gingerbread men, marzipan candies, and chocolate letters from the familiar tall red-caped man with a long white beard and scarlet mitre upon his head. In Portugal and Brazil, families eat a late dinner, exchange gifts, and head to midnight mass, where afterwards they can meet with friends and extended family and enjoy fireworks displays. In Austria and elsewhere, a particularly unsavory character, whose appearance is grotesque, joins St. Nicholas on December 6th, as children make lists, categorizing their deeds over the past year as either good or bad. One hopes there are more in the good column than the bad, as well-behaved and virtuous children receive goodies as rewards, while the naughty little ones, well, we shiver to think of their fates. In the Ukraine, Christmas is observed on January 7th, with folks dressing in traditional garb and caroling throughout their towns, before cooking up a dish of porridge sweetened with honey and made from wheat, ground poppy seeds, and sometimes nuts. Some families throw a scoop of this porridge at their ceiling to determine if their harvest the following year will be good. If it sticks, the future looks bright. South of the border, the U.S. border that is, Las Posadas parades reenact the journey Mary made with her tender infant Jesus, and plays retelling the story of the Holy Child's birth are performed in churches and elsewhere. While in Greece, they lean into their nautical history with a lighting of a large tree in the middle of Aristoteles Square in Thessaloniki alongside a giant three-masted ship. Small children, particularly boys, carol through the streets playing drums and triangles and carrying wooden ships decorated with gold-painted nuts. If the carolers sing well, they'll receive coins, candies, nuts, and dried figs as payment. In the mysterious land of pyramids and mummies, the Coptic Christians, who make up only 15% of the population, spend their 43-day Advent in a period of fasting, making them vegan up until the eve of Christmas on January 6th, when they attend a special liturgy before heading home to feast on meats and eggs and butter and a special soup called fata, filled with lamb, bread, rice, and garlic. Bright and early on the morning of the 7th, when the rest of Egypt celebrates their secular Christmas, Baba Noel shows up bearing presents placed beneath the decorated trees, and visits are made to friends and family bearing sweet biscuits as gifts. In Germany, the root of Christmas proper, the Christmas trees and halls are decked to the nth degree, and Christmas markets overflow with treasures and treats. And if you don't hang out in dark alleys or refrain from naughtiness, you can easily avoid Krampus, their scary counterpart to Santa Claus. But the largest Christmas market in Europe is in charming Strasbourg, tucked along the border of Germany in northern France, once part of Germany if you recall from a previous video. Here, Yule logs of cherry wood crackle in fireplaces throughout the entirety of Christmas Eve, while food is laid out for Mary and baby Jesus, should they happen by before morning. Père Noël, or Papa Noël, is the French-speaking Father Christmas, tucking gifts small enough to fit into children's shoes to the delight of the French pixies. Here in Louisiana, Papa Noël pilots his pirogue hauled through the swamps by no less than 8 gators to make sure the French-speaking babies get their stockings filled. In some areas of France, Tante Arie, who is based on the real Countess Henrietta de Montbéliard, who lived in the 15th century and whose kindness was legendary, dons her cape with her faithful donkey Marion and descends from the mountains to deliver cakes and cookies to the good children who have hopefully left a bit of fresh veg for the hard-working little donkey. And finally, in the UK, nativity plays, carols, and festivities are aplenty, with the service of 9 lessons and carols traditionally being broadcast on Christmas Eve from the chapel of King's College in Cambridge. Children hang their stockings or pillowcases out for Father Christmas to fill with treats on Christmas Eve, and Christmas supper tables are laid with rich puddings, roast meat, stuffings, potatoes, Yorkshire pudding, gravies, and desserts. Mistletoe and holly sprigs are displayed, and cleverly and festively designed crackers hold trinkets for each guest in attendance. Rich Christmas cakes filled with dried fruit, soaked in rum or sherry, and covered in marzipan and icing are a traditional treat. Across the world, Christmas has brought its magic, joy, hope, and beauty to bear in individual cultures in ways that are both strikingly different and simultaneously achingly familiar to us all. It would seem that no matter where you live, it's hard to resist a holiday overflowing with the hope of rebirth, the joy of giving, and the whispered promise of eternity. Thank you for traveling the world with us to peek into those Christmas windows. We hope you will join us tomorrow evening as we open the next door of our video advent calendar. Now go do a bit of Christmas tradition making for yourself, and we'll see you later.